and they didn't name a space for her yet.
Mm.
So it's exciting to see what kind of space it may be.
Mhm.
I'm interested in that, but it was really, really nice. There were a lot of people that came up to me afterward and shared their condolences still, and kind of like many testimonies of how Radonna affected their lives, and how much they looked up to her, and how much they were friends and they loved her, and things like that. And our resemblance when they saw me going through the area. So it was a pretty good experience to see that, because I don't go to a lot of functions. I tell people Redonna was the social butterfly. I'm like the social dragonfly. My thing is with children
Mhm.
and not adults as much. So I'm getting used to that,
Mhm.
being out in the community more, because I'm the homebody
Mhm.
type of person. So it was a good experience though. I went with one of her. We were able to invite two people, and I went with one of her church brothers, Mr. Mike Staples, and my
Mhm.
um, sister's best friend also attended with me, and she's very active in the community and knows a lot of people and things like that. And she was by our side even to the very end when my sister was gravely ill. Miss Karen Romano Court was there, so it was nice to be with with her for a positive event.
Mhm.
That was a really good event to, because I haven't seen her in 7 or 8 years since
Mhm.
Redonna passed away. So
Ah,
it
Yeah.
was a good event. It was fun.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can obviously tell that, well, you feel very deeply about your sister, and everything that you said, I can see it for sure.
Mhm.
We want to thank you for coming on to have this conversation with us. We do need to go to break so we can pay some bills, but don't go anywhere. We will still be back later with more guests.
6.5 Milwaukee.
Welcome back to the Hustle and Grow Show, as always, powered by the Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship. Now, our next guest we have is Mr. Ryan Gray. He was actually under you. You actually met Redonna, and you went through the CTE program. Am I correct on
Yes,
that?
sir.
Yep. And we're told that you can talk a lot, and we only have 15 minutes. But we know that you have an interesting story to tell. So I'll start us off. Where does your story begin with Redonna, and how did this impact you across your life?
First saying I talk a lot, that's a skewed perspective, and I'm sticking to it. I met Miss Redonna, I want to say around the age of 12 years old. So I was back then at the Afro Fest. And the Afro Fest was a very big thing, and me and my mother were going. And they had a booth up. And I didn't meet her at the time. I met one of the administrators there, and they were saying a lot of things, asking us about if we wanted to be a young entrepreneur, things about business of that nature. And I said, absolutely. So then, fast forward, we went to the orientation, and from there, I met Ms. Rogers. And if you knew Ms. Rogers, she had a very compelling spirit about her that the moment you met her, you didn't meet a stranger. And she didn't meet a stranger. It was those kind of conversations that she just took you in. And me and her gravitated to each other, that it became a very close-knit relationship all the way until she transitioned out and received her eternal peace. But Mr. Donna was an excellent woman. And so that's how I got to know who she was.
Yeah, that's a very impactful story. What exactly did your relationship entail? Because it sounds like a very personal relationship, and
Absolutely. Ms. Rogers was a mentor. She was a business mentor, and she was just a life mentor. I often referred to her, and I would tell her she reminded me of an Oprah almost, because she had this level of regalness about her and her mindset. There was not a lot of stuff that shattered or just really moved her. There wasn't a lot of stuff that frustrated her. She was real still, very peaceful. You really couldn't get her upset. And if you did, you really did something to make her upset.
Oh, I can
But
imagine.
she wasn't easily shaken. And she was everything for everybody. And so for me, she was a mentor, she was a confidant, she was like an aunt. There were many times she had an events or whatever, and she would call me to be that youth representative with her sometimes. And sometimes we would go to Chicago, just me and her, or Waukegan, wherever an event was, sometimes to represent CTE. In those years around the list, especially 17, 18, she would have me go with her. And so that was a special time. She was a lot. She was a mother to many, and I will even say a mother figure to me as well.
Mhm.
That's that is a very impactful story. How exactly did ask this, going through that program, meeting
Mhm.
Redonna, how has it changed you now that you're full grown adults, you're on your own now? How did the teachings of CTE and the life lessons that Redonna gave
Mhm.
you and those experiences, how does that impact you?
Very good question. I would say, excuse me, the lessons I learned from her it was just amazing. So I'll give you a story. One I'll never forget. I had this business called Blessings on Enterprises, and there was this individual who created this Bible board game. It was almost like a monopoly, but it was designed to help create this level of awareness for young children on the Bible, so they could be very knowledgeable, but in a
Sounds
fun
interesting.
way.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity came to me for me to market it. And so that was my business, is to market that game. And so me and him worked on that, and I marketed the game, and I sold as many games as I could. And then I created other biblical merchandise. But I remember there was a time that when we were in the building where CTE was housed at the time, there was a faith-led meeting, and it was many faith leaders across the city and even the state. And so Ms. Rogers told me, she said, Ryan, because we were already there for a class, she said, Ryan, they have some things going on in there, and I think that would be an excellent opportunity for you. And so I had prepared my speech. I was prepared to go in. And I went in and they turned me back around. And they said, not right now. There were some of them were a little stern. They didn't mean to be, but it was a serious conversation going on to my knowledge. And they turned me back around and I was discouraged. And she looked at me, she said, this is not the moment to be discouraged, but this is the moment to realize whatever you were going to say, how can you make it better? Use the time you have. Do not use it as an opportunity to see it in a negative way, but use it as a positive way to beef up whatever you were going to do and make it even better. So by the time you go in there, you blow them away. And so I did just exactly that. And so I went back in the boardroom when they had time for me towards the end. And I gave them a speech that they were not even expecting to hear. And I sold out of all my board games. And so what that has taught me, even today in business, as I operate in the corporate sector and as I operate in my own businesses, is that use the time you have effectively and come back better than ever. Anytime someone tells you no, or they tell you wait for a moment, don't see that as an opportunity to cry or as an opportunity to see it in a negative way, but use every moment of opposition, every moment that's different than what you're expecting, and come back with your greatest form of self. And every time you do that, success is designed to happen.
Yeah, that is insanely deep. That is not that makes me want to meet Redonna. And talking with her sister, talking with you, and knowing the impact of her, knowing that she's the entire reason why this show even exists, or why CTE. I also want to say very quickly, I know that this day is about Redonna, but I also wanted to honor Franklin Bucha, who started the whole organization with Redonna in 1991. Sadly, he passed 3 years after the organization was founded. So we remember her and we remember him, because both of them brought this to what it could be. Thousands of lives touched, thousands of people brought into a new mindset of they can be more than what they're told that they are.
Absolutely. I would say Ms. Rogers was a force to reckon with, and it's one of those things is that her life, her memory will forever be sketched in the history of time, and it can never be removed. Just through individuals such as us speaking her name and even those that she impacted. Ms. Rogers, one thing I love, she impacted over probably 15,000 people, children that walked through CTE before she passed. And an interesting fact about her that even when her health declined, she was still in the hospital making connections so youth would have opportunities. One of the last endeavors that she had before she passed was working with young fellows, young men who to help access them to college opportunities and then to internship opportunities. And even in her bed, she had a laptop and she was working. There was some question they asked her, one of her laptops went out, and they said, what do you need? They said, whatever you need for your health or whatever, what do you need? Do you need a better wheelchair? Do you need access to go up and down the stairs? And she said, I just want a laptop so that I can do more work for these young men. To the end, she gave of herself. And so I can say it proudly that she died empty. She gave everything she had. And although for a long time I wrestled with that she left too soon, she gave everything she had. And I think that is the mission that everybody ought to live by, is that whenever that time does come, make sure that you are empty. Give of yourself. So even when your time is done, there's still you to remain.
You got to stop hitting me with these deep thoughts, man. Like you're hitting the spirit, man. I can already tell that. You guys?
Yeah, it was just a very powerful message, and it just makes sure there's meaning to your life, like that you're just outreaching. It made me like really want to rethink what like my career wants to be. Like, do I want to connect with more people? How can I do that? How can I touch more lives with what I do or what I want to do or what they need?
And that's what in the small stuff. I don't know how much more time we have.
No, we've got, I'd say about 5 more minutes.
Oh, dang.
8 more. What is okay? So there's this quick story I have where Miss, I think it was an Alexis she had, a Cameron Alexis, and nevertheless, somebody has stole her car. And she had told me someone had stole her car. And so for most of us, we would have been furious. We would have been bothered. We would have been upset. And I said, "Are you serious?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "But you not have peace." She said, "It was my fault. I left the key in the car." She just had a whole nother perspective to like I said, nothing really moved her too much. Only things that really moved her a lot was, and I hate to use this word, but there was the stupidity of people when they did not use what the Lord gave them effectively,
No, that's right.
or when they came against others. That's when you got the other side of her. But again, that was very rare, and she would remind you that she was from the Illinois area, humorously. But I think Miss Rogers, what I carry with me is to calm down. It's okay just to breathe and just calm down, because sometimes life is not as horrible as we think it is.
Yeah.
And even if we think it's bad, what she helped me to understand is that things have to get better. And so, in this remaining time, as I will give it back to you all to ask me any questions, I commend you in keeping her legacy together. If she was here, she would be very, very, very proud of you all, because you could be doing anything at 8 o'clock in the morning. You could be sleeping, actually, but you've taken time to not only celebrate her legacy, but get opportunities to talk to other individuals who have been impacted by her life and her story. And so, therefore, I celebrate you all as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gray. I'd like to-
Absolutely.
for sure. We're proud to have you on this show, and so thank you, of course. I'm still getting hit hard from that, but yeah, claps all around for this man, folks. Our next guest coming in is Mr. Jerry Johnson, Vice President of Chase Bank, and also a board member of the CTE Board of Directors. So welcome him to the stage.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Good morning. I'm still, excuse me. I'm still getting hit from that. That's, I don't know how you're gonna top that, honestly. No,
I'm not going to even try.
no, but for our listeners, please tell us about your relationship with Redonna and CTE.
Well, as everyone knows and everyone's been speaking, Donna, Rogers is a legend,
Oh yeah,
right? And so when we think about her, we think about someone who gave her life to serve others, right? To make others better than when she found them. And definitely when you left her presence, you felt better than when you first encountered her in their presence. And so my role, on the board at the Center of Teaching Entrepreneurship, I get an opportunity to be in the classrooms, right? To actually work with the various students and young adults, not only learning about the process of being an entrepreneur, but in understanding the reason behind being an entrepreneur, understanding that you can make your dreams come true, and there's nothing to it but to do it, right? So all you got to do is put forth the effort, and along with the entrepreneurship piece, you have to have that literacy piece, right? You have to have a financial understanding, and that's where my background with Chase Bank comes into play. So I can teach them how to handle their money once they become successful. So often we hear about people being successful, and we hear about sports and athletes, things like that, who make all this money. And then shortly after their sports careers are over, they find themselves broke. So, CTE, once you learn to become an entrepreneurship, we want to teach you not only how to make that money, but how to invest that money and make that money grow and work for you.
Well, I'm very glad that you are keeping true to the financial literacy piece of what the Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship does, and that you are going further, because as a vice president of Chase Bank, like you know the ins and outs of money, you know how it works, how to keep it invested and share it with others. What are some of the teachings that you may give to somebody or one of the youth that come in and want to learn more about this?
Well, it all starts with the basics, right? What is your foundation? What is important to you? Once we can understand what's important to you, we can build off that foundation. Often I hear people say money. Well, money is not the foundation. It's what the money can do for you is the foundation. And so once we get to the core of those things, we realize that family often is that core element that drives everyone. And at CTE, when we start to talk about that business piece, what is that foundation? That foundation still is that family. Now, once you start to earn those financial, rewards, now what do you do? Now you have to have a plan. You have to have a goal. You have to have a strategic approach. And then you have to write it down on paper. So often people want to have these thoughts in their head, but if you keep them in your head, it's too easy to change and pivot, right? And so once you write that plan down, you have something to hold yourself accountable to, but then also you have something there to celebrate your success.
You said before that you don't know how you're going to top it. You're kind of topping it right now. I don't know. I don't know. This whole show is just, this might be one of my favorite shows right here that I'm ever gonna. Yeah.
It's definitely a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here. Could you tell us what is your story on how you met Redonna and how you became acquainted with CTE?
Well, Redonna was so involved in so many different things. So I would come and attend different various events. And then I was always hear this word, Redonna Rogers, Redonna Rogers. And I'm like, who is this Redonna Rogers? And I would hear about the Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship. So I had an opportunity to be at an event and meet her briefly. And, the just her presence, right? She had a very warm spirit about her. Warm, but stern,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Warm, but sure of herself, and warm, but also directive. And so when I also think about her, I would say that for her, we talk a lot now, this financial literacy and these things, but she was a pioneer. She was a trailblazer. She's the one that opened those doors and those avenues for all these things that we see other organizations doing and involved with. She laid that foundation. And so I say we want to commemorate her, right? Because she is something that the work that she did is so important, and we want to continue to honor her legacy. And that's why I'm so honored to be a part of CTE, to honor her legacy, to keep her work moving forward, because she had accomplished a lot of goals and did a lot of work, but there's still a lot of work that's yet to be done. And I would hope and pray that she's looking down over us and is proud of the work that we're doing in honoring her and keeping her legacy alive.
And as would I. I would also love for that.
Yeah. So, how old were you when you first met her?
I was already an adult.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, is that when you first got into entrepreneurship, like as you were an adult? Or-
Well, yes. Yes and no. We start those first entrepreneurship endeavors with I started with I assisted someone on a paper route. And so I grew up not too far from where the radio station is located here. And I assisted someone. We had a paper route we used to deliver to our local neighbors. And I don't know if you all know Mr. and Mrs. Perkins. And from the Perkins restaurant, they were actually one of the people we delivered to. And so that was my first encounter, I would say, at an early age. Besides, getting paid to take out the garbage and mow the lawn,
Oh, yeah.
the things such as that. But later on, as an adult, I began to get involved in real estate and still own some real estate to this day. Good question.
Why are you on the board of directors for the Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship?
Ooh, that's a deep question. um, I consider myself a servant, and I look to serve others and not expect anything in return. And the things that the lessons that we have an opportunity to share and teach at CTE, I felt compelled to be able to share the things that I have learned with others. And um, it was something that I never had an opportunity. I wish someone had shared information with me, and that way I wouldn't have to have learned the hard way. Right. So when we share information in our various classrooms, it's coming from not only a space of knowledge, but experience. One thing about school, right? We can learn various things in school. We can learn information in school, but we consider that the 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 logical piece, right? The literature piece. But then you still have the practical, right? You got the written piece you learn in the books, but then you have the practical. That's the part that is the application of what you have learned. And often those things aren't in a book, and you have to go out here and learn the hard way. Well, why not take advantage of the knowledge and the experience that others have had and share that with you, and then you can take and apply it. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't make your own mistakes. However, you have some guardrails to help you along the way.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did
Your
you?
whole. I've been talking a lot about auras and about what I can spirits from people, but from you especially, I can see you carry part of Redonna with you, and you carry her. I can feel that warmth just from your words about her, and I can feel the as I said with Mary Flanagan, there's not a lot of teachers out there who actually want to go out and teach the kids because they love it. Or you got some lackluster teachers who go in and get a paycheck. You seem like the type of person who goes in and does it just because they want to do it, because they want to impact the next generation, not because they're trying to seem like they're in the limelight, like, oh, I'm helping kids, but no, I'm actually doing this. This is what I live for. This is the purpose that God has placed me here for.
That's good. That's good. It's interesting that you would share that. I do. I don't like the spotlight. I don't like the limelight at all. I prefer to play the background. I actually feel I'm more effective in the background. If you want me to be placed up front, I'll go up front. But one thing about Redonna Rogers, she had that mother spirit, right? And I consider myself a die-hard mother's boy. I never really had my father around, so my mother was that everything to me, and she was that person that really drove me and gave me inspiration,
Mm.
right? And so Radonna had that same spirit, right?
Mm.
She was one of those people that you didn't want to disappoint her,
Mm.
right? So
Mhm.
this to hear her say was similar. Like if my mom said, "Hey, I'm disappointed in you," I'd rather get put placed on a punishment. I'd rather get
Yes.
I don't know. You don't. People don't get that nowadays.
Yeah.
I'd rather get a whooping, but
I'd rather get a
but
whooping. Yeah,
but
yeah, for
don't say
sure.
you're disappointed, right?
Yeah.
And so Redonna Rogers had that same spirit, right? You didn't want to disappoint, and the work we do right now, we don't want to disappoint,
No.
right? We want to bring up the next future of leaders. We want to create the next level of multi-millionaires, because $1 million isn't enough. You all need to be multi-millionaires, and you have the knowledge. You all have the skills. You have the ability. You have the drive. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you can't do. You can do anything you set your mind to. So please, please keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Uh,
Mhm.
yeah. Thank you very much for that. And um, um, what else about Redonna do you? How can I say this? What else about Redonna did you just really love or really admire about her?
Her drive and tenacity,
Mm.
Yeah.
right? She never gave up. Right? She never gave up, and all of her famous quotes that we hear on the radio, the sound bites,
Yeah.
right? That knowing and understanding your attitude determines your altitude. When she says, "What is it? $2 attitude," and
$2 attitude. Wait, or like You got to. How can you expect someone to pay you $20 or $40 when you have a $2 attitude and a $4 education?
And that's so true, right? We all see it. I'm sure we all see it in experience today, right? Just
Yeah.
think about the type of customer services that you experience when you go into a place, right? Are you getting served the way that you want to be served? And so keep in mind, as you serve others, always remember that. Is that how you want to be served? And if you consider yourself a servant, then you're always looking to help others, right?
Yeah.
And then with that, the reward should be great, always.
Yeah, that's real truth right there. And I'll say specifically for me, everything that you said, everything that Ryan said, and Miss Flanagan has said, I literally can visualize Redonna right in front of me, and I can feel that essence from her. I can feel everything that I could feel like I'm in the room with her, and I don't even never met her, never knew her, but yeah. I want to say again, people, that this day is for her, and we will continue to do this every September, the last Saturday of every month, to make sure that Redonna is remembered, that her legacy is remembered, everything that she fought for and worked for is remembered. And I'll briefly actually say some things about the Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship if you don't know. The Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship's primary goal is to continue to support initiatives like what we got going here, the Hustle and Grow Show. But they also want to continue forward with entrepreneurship, talking about money and businesses. And they have this special mindset called the CEO of Me, where young people can take ownership of their futures and all the actions they'll need to take hold of their entire lives. And it's because of that CEO of Me mindset that we've had people like Ryan Gray come onto the show, and they're able to talk about how they're able to flourish in their businesses and even glow in their life. That is the most effective word that I could use for that. Just glow. You're radiating with energy about yourself, and you don't have too many people in this world who are sure about who they are. I'll say, especially for me, personal story, I was not sure in myself or what my purpose was. I was the type of person who needed validation from others in order to feel good about myself, or I would need somebody to tell me you did good in order to feel good, or I would need to hang around a certain group of people who might not have been the best for me, but if I got their adoration and if I got their approval, it was all worth it. And it wasn't until I had to learn a very hard lesson firsthand about that, then that's when I became sure about myself, that I don't need another person to tell me my worth. I don't need another person to say, this is what you're worth baseline. I already know who I am and what my purpose is. And I'm glad to be living in that. And I would pray that everyone listening also finds that if they haven't already, and that, you know, they're living who they are. And I just like to thank you again, sir, for that.
Pleasure. It's all mine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, with this, folks, this concludes today's show. I want to thank everyone who's come on to the show today, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please don't forget to check out our website at www.ctemke.org. We will see you soon.
Bye.
See ya.
I'm coming very strong and bold. Let me tell you before you get told.
You got
See, I run my own thing like I won the championship ring.
period. So I say to all my misses, I'm looking fly, I rock my business.
Okay.
Now my friends be dialing, calling, while I'm having fun and balling.
Everybody get on the right shit. Sister for teaching entrepreneurship. Do your own thing. Hey, entrepreneurship. Everybody get on the right shit. Sister for teaching entrepreneurship. Do your own thing. Hey, entrepreneurship.